Let's bring in Elaine Dezenski, head of the Center on Economic and Financial Power at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. The announcement made earlier this morning in Geneva by Treasury Secretary Bessent is the first step in potentially ending the trade war with China. So let me ask you this. We just saw the market outlook. The top three indexes are up this morning. If you're a small business, how would you go about looking at this announcement with China and what it does for you, not just leading up to the 90 days, but even after the 90 days?
Good morning, and thanks so much for the invitation to join you today. So it's still a tricky situation for U.S. importers, those who are looking to figure out what to order and when from China. But 90 days does give a bit of a reprieve for sure, to be able to get some of the intermediate goods or finished goods into the U.S. It takes somewhere between 30 and 40 days to get the average good shipped from China, produced and shipped, and into the U.S. So it will help in the short term, but it still leaves, I think, a lot of uncertainty over the long term. And if I'm an investor trying to figure out whether to bring capital into China or make investments in alternative supply chains, that's pretty much a wait and see situation. 90 days isn't really enough to give clarity.
I want to talk a little bit about the broader picture here. Of course, China, the issues with China have been going on for decades, especially when it comes to intellectual property. A lot of those things are non-tariff based. And it seems as though the president is really focusing on those things, using the tariffs to put pressure on China. We know China was closing up factories. They were losing money. Was this the pressure the administration needed right now to get China to the table to I guess, look at those issues that are non-tariff issues that are serving as barriers to American companies in terms of being able to get into China, that market, and play on equal footing? What would you say about that?
I think that's exactly the right question to be asking. And what you've just identified, that's the big stuff that we need to be talking about. The structural reforms to the Chinese economy, developing consumer-driven spending, getting rid of the intellectual property theft, and other non-market practices that have made it so difficult for U.S. manufacturers to compete. The system really needs to shift. So tariffs, I think, have been quite effective in terms of bringing the parties to the table. At this point, 48 hours of discussions is really nothing more than the opening salvo on what will be a very long-term discussion. But we should keep our eyes on the prize, which is pushing for the structural reforms that will address ultimately the trade imbalances between the U.S. and China, and we hope lead to a more open market-driven approach. Right now, we don't have that with China. We have a non-market actor using an open and free market system for their benefit, but we can't continue in that way.
Yeah, you're right about balance, because Secretary Bessent said we want to rebalance. So what sort of impact do you see this temporary agreement having on us here at home? How will this impact goods and products that we buy every day?
Well, it does, as I said, it does offer a bit of reprieve. So we may see importers taking some steps to get as much as they can into the country within the 90 days, because there's no guarantee about what comes after that. I would think for manufacturers or importers who are looking for holiday inventories, that might be something that they would be thinking about trying to resolve for within this 90-day period, or at least get a head start on that. Will we feel it as consumers? We might feel a bit of it, but let's see. Let's see where we end up. I think no matter what, we'll be looking at a baseline tariff with China, which is probably in the 20 to 30% over time. It will be more than what we're putting on other countries as a baseline, which is 10%. So we need to be thinking about that longer term.
Well, the meeting over the weekend was just the start. So now it's started. So now we have sort of a process that we can follow 90 days and even after that. Elaine Dezenski, we appreciate your insight on this Monday morning. Thank you very much.